Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Open Qualifier number 2 for SCS Season 5. We have 72 more teams over the next 3 days who are going to be battling it out, looking to book their ticket to the closed qualifiers and eventually our historic 5th season. My name is Jay Wills, and of course, you know him, it's Crow joining me on the desk tonight. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. There's a lot of teams that I look forward to casting, including the two teams we have here. Of course, we've also got Team Veil. We've got, that's Hyper's team, if you don't know them, team previously known as Bracket Blast. We've got Aggro are back in it. Gatekeepers are still in. Other notable teams include, Nomads, the new Lycus Empire. I think I know some of the players on Kevin 7. Team Identity, who is in Season 2 of RSA, are there as well. There's still plenty of good teams to go around, including Slaughterhouse Bravo, Burnt Turkey's team. So, unfortunately, we can only accept 10 more into our closed qualifiers. Remain now has all the teams listed. If you see Disrupt Gaming and Team Sinister as well, keep in mind, those are the women's rosters, not the Pro League team, and not the well, I guess what once was either a CCS team or I think they had an ANZ Pro team, Team Sinister. Yeah, those are the two women's teams. But like I said, it's a 20-team closed qual plus CL teams that decided to buy their way in. That was open to Challenger League teams and Challenger League teams only. So, unfortunately, we can only accept 10 more teams. Sure, there's plenty of good teams that I would like to see make it, but we gotta thin the herd. And that all starts tonight.
Yeah, the likes of, Indiana Syndicate, even Dojo Academy. I mean, everyone is looking to work their way to that closed qual. They'll be joining, obviously, those 10 teams from the open qual that were able to make it through, the most notable of which are Honor Esports, Matt Squared, Aerial Arise, Synthetic, Project Neo, Wichita Wolves, all of whom had a pretty strong performance in the first open qualifier, enough to give them that top 10 spot and move on over to the closed qualifier. Of course, there are so many teams here, and you mentioned it, Crow. We can't take them all, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of teams looking to get their way there, but as you can see, there just isn't that much space in our 5th season. If you do see teams here that you recognize and you're interested in checking out, but we aren't going to be streaming them on this main channel, don't be afraid to check out our community channels as well. We've got 2 concurrent broadcasts going on over at twitch.tv/SFCL and 9Ball Esports, both of which have their own open qual games going on as well right now. So be sure to tune in over there and see if there's a match that you're not quite getting on this main channel.
Yeah, of course. I know Chief and Infernosis are on the SFCL?
Yeah, you're right.
Stream, I think. I don't quite remember what game they're doing. Was it the Lycus Kevin game?
I think it's the Slaughterhouse Bravo versus Floppa game.
I get it completely wrong. Let's see. What did Chief tweet?
Yeah, I think
you're right.
Yeah.
It is the Slaughterhouse versus Floppa. So that's going to be on SFCL. Not quite sure what's happening on 9Ball, and I don't know who's casting it. But if neither of these two games are your cup of tea, you can go check out that 3rd channel and see what's up. The two, if I had to pick out 2 teams,
sure,
that I had to say are my ideal 2 teams going into the next couple walls are Team Veil and PDHM. They are both in Challenger League. For some reason, didn't opt to buy their way into the closed qual. I guess they figure, hey, it's a piece of cake. Just go ahead. We'll qual right into the closed qual the traditional way. Team Veil consists of kind of the remnants of Bracket Blast. So the only player from Bracket Blast that I believe is actually left is Marmalade. Otherwise, they've now filled in Psychosis from Farmers Market, Afer, also from Farmers Market, Hypers, previously playing in Canadian Pro League for Livid, and Frozen, a player who then went on to coach the Challenger League team of Bruh and then Beast Coast. I love all of those guys. And I also love all the guys on PDHM. Namely, 2 very special people who are very near and dear to my heart, Exo and Raffi. You may have heard of them. It has been a hot minute since I got to cast those 2 guys. I don't think I've ever casted them together either. So those 2 teams, I really hope we get to see move into close calls or maybe even get to cast today.
Yeah, well, part of the Swiss format that we've got, if you're not familiar, we have 3 days of qualifiers with 3 rounds taking place in each one. There's going to be a 9 rounds total, which comprise this Swiss bracket. So, of course, the games are going to get more intense and a bit more high stakes the more we go forward. And so we don't really know what to expect as much in these early games. We don't know how competitive they may end up being because, again, both teams will end up sitting at, of course, 0-0 to start things off, and their, record and their possible undefeated streak will eventually be established as we get through this qualifier, and hopefully we'll be able to follow along with some of those top tier undefeated teams going forward. But really, that won't really come to fruition until tomorrow or Friday, when we really get to understand who are the top teams in this open qualifier and who, have the best chance of actually going forward into the close quals.
Yeah, there's definitely some teams from last qualifier that I did not expect to go, like especially Project Neo, and Synthetic Esports. I expected them to be up there, but I did not expect teams like Aerial Arise to, almost get by the skin of their teeth. I thought they were going to be a lot more dominant, but of course they are still currently trying out a 5th, so hopefully they have that 5th locked into place by the time close qualifiers turns around. I'm very happy Survey Corps made it in as well, so there's still a lot of good teams that, fortunately, we're gonna have a pool of 20 teams from the open quals, plus CL teams, and then from there we can only accept 10 of those.
It's gonna be crazy.
More.
It's going to be so amazing.
They should all be pretty good games. Of course, a reminder too: the close qual matches will also be Swiss format. Now, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, can I point on the right side? It's this side. This side. At the bottom of your screen, we're going to cafe. At this point, if you don't know how to play Cafe, well, you probably shouldn't be playing Siege Comp. And another very specific note, Team Versity was a team who used to be, at least with their old roster, I'm not quite sure how they are on the map now, but on their old roster, they used to be the Cafe team. They were probably second only to teams like Thunder Logic on this map. If you brought Versity to this map, you were basically trying to lose. So we'll see if Dallas Vendetta can put up enough of a fight. I can hear the game going in through the clean feed. Hopefully Ferme will switch. There we go. We're in Cafe. Versity, they'll be on the defense first, which typically, a lot of people consider to be the advantageous side, but lately it's starting to kind of even itself out. But they do get the advantage of first ban. And what do you think? It'll be Thatcher?
No way. Could not be. Oh my goodness, it will be. Could never have guessed that ever. But Crow, the one thing as we get into the rest of this ban phase I did want to mention is actually these two teams and their performance in the first qualifier. I think it's worth mentioning that Versity ended up 19th place overall. They were only 1 or 2 wins off of that, 9th or 10th spot. Unfortunately, 4 losses is what ended up coming their way. Same thing for Dallas Vendetta, also 4 losses and a forfeit at the end. Things just really didn't work out towards the end of the qualifier, and they ended up in 42nd place. So in terms of an overall comparison between these two teams, I think that is valid, but I do know some of these Dallas Vendetta players quite well, and at least I was told it was not their best series, or not their best qualifier, and I guess they have their chance to prove things early on. But against a team like Team Versity, Team Banana to start things off, it could be a rude awakening for them in this second qualifier as well.
Yeah, Castle ban. This is what Versity always does. So they used to do, I think it was every time they played Cafe, it was Capitao Castle. So it seems like they switched up. They started to ban the Thatcher just because now there's more influential bans like the Ace, like Hibana. Capitao isn't necessarily the must pick that he used to. And while Dallas Vendetta probably a lot better than I do, I know Versity pretty damn well. Wi-Fi, True, Blonde, and Maniac have been around for a while, and their newest pickup, or I'm not sure about if he's a pickup or just a fill-in, I assume he's just a fill-in for now, is Hawks. Hawks played with, was it Ultralight in ESA back when I casted ESA? And then I believe he played with Glow Up in CCS. So he's also a very experienced player. I imagine, maybe not as strong as if Versity had a practiced fifth, but he certainly won't be dragging down the roster. At least I assume so. He is Frenchy, so he is built different. So I would assume that Dallas Vendetta are going to have to at least put in some work to take him down. And speaking of Dallas Vendetta, look at their attack. They are bringing, instead of the Nomad, they'll pick up the Zero, an operator that we've kind of seen not necessarily replace Nomad, but be kind of stuck in where the Nomad would normally be, depending on the site and depending on the map.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift we've seen. People are realizing that you can use a Zero in flank watch capacity, just like you would those air jabs. Plus, of course, with 4 cameras, not only can you watch more flanks and have copious drone intel as well, you can consider those drones, but you also can use them, elsewhere, putting them into the floor of the bomb site, into a window, just to gauge exactly, how you're going to approach the objective. And it appears that Fonde is letting us know that points are on, so we're gonna maybe do something about that one. But the Zero pick, it's an interesting one. And again, there's the one problem with replacing the Nomad is you have to staff a camera. You have to put somebody on the camera in order to be a valid flank watch. And that means that instead of placing your air jabs down and kind of just going off doing the rest of your execute, you have to have somebody, whether dead or alive, actively focusing on that utility. But with, of course, the loss of Fonde here, I guess there you go. You've got your dead player who will be relegated to camera duty for the remainder of round number 1.
Yeah, and that's kind of like that's the trade-off you get with Zero. It's one, you have to have someone sticking on those cameras, but they don't make a sound like they do with an air jab. They're a lot easier to hide, so the flanking player might not necessarily know that there's a flank watch there. The second pick will come the way of Versity, as well as PK. Zero, that we were talking about, and who I'd personally hoped to actually see play from, will be felled, I think, before even using any of his cams by Maniac. Hawks will get his first pick as well. And down goes Jaiko. Down goes your Sledge on a kitchen attack. That is, that's not great. Now you're in a 2 versus 5. You've got Ash and Ace, so you've got a decent bit of utility left to work with. You've got Soft Breach, you've got Clear, you got your Hard Breach and Smokes as well. But you've only got a minute 15 left, you're down 3 bodies, and you haven't even cleared out this roamer upstairs. Blonde will start to peel back, but that's only 1 layer gone, and there's still people on the middle floor. You still gotta deal with Maniac and Hawks, the Mute Mozzie combo, with the Vigil there to support all 3 of the drone denial operators. But as I say that, they will go down as swiftly as they came. Minute left, and I guess they... Okay. Thank you, Wi-Fi. A minute left, and I guess they've pretty much decided that, hey, we've wasted a significant amount of time. We are up a significant amount of bodies. We can just go ahead and play anchors. I mean, if we play for trades, then there is absolutely no way that this attack comes out on top.
A spot-on decision. Just playing that man advantage, playing safe, and honestly, that is all they need to do. They've realized that the Sledge is gone. The Zofia is gone. Of course, you do have the breaching rounds of Crispy here, but that's not going to be enough to really establish any sort of sustained vertical pressure. And as such, Crispy and Bait, they're just going to walk down the White Hall stairs now, and they're going to be looking to pressure on VIP. Little does Bait know
no clue
that Blonde is just sitting in there and fragging out. He'll take 1 down. Crispy with the refrag, but that does not seem to matter. Team Versity will take a very decisive round number 1.
Yeah, that was pretty one-sided. That might as well have been a flawless round. In all honesty, like the fact that he got 1 refrag at the end. I mean, that's not great.
Yeah,
that roam clear. Every time we saw one of them get picked off, it was just like walking by an angle. Zofia walked past the cigar door and got shut down all the way from Cocktail by Vigil. Zero just walked past the balcony window right outside of mining and got killed by the Mozzie. And from there, Sledge was... I'm not quite sure why Sledge was alone in 90 with no drones. That one was definitely a little bit curious, but there was no trade potential on any of those just because of the way in which the defense was getting those kills. So really well executed by Versity. Definitely a little bit confusing by Dallas Vendetta there. And like you said, I mean, they only have the Ash. They can't get any sustained vertical presence. And even then, even if they could, by the time that the defenders actually fell off and allowed them to do that and clear out the second floor, they only had like 35 seconds left. They didn't even have time to even put down 1 breaching charge and actually make effective use of it. So that entire round was just kind of a wash from Dallas Vendetta. I'm struggling to find really any motes of light from that.
Yeah, that one just really seemed disjointed from the very start. Of course, Team Versity, they brought, what we call the information denial wombo combo, the mute and the Mozzie, plus the vigil. You've got that threefold sort of information denial focus, and Dallas Vendetta played right into that strategy. You saw them really struggle to utilize their drones properly. The zero cams never really got a chance to come to light, something we talked so much about pre-round, because PK was gone off the board before really the round could even unfold. So a disaster for Dallas Vendetta in round number 1, but it is exactly that. It's round number 1. You can't read into it too much, and thankfully for DV, they've got time to regroup and say, listen, we can never let that happen again on this map. We need to be a lot cleaner on our attacks. Let's stop the lack of coordinated pushes. Let's play more as a unit. If they do that, they'll find more success. I am sure of it.
Yeah, hopefully they don't just kind of walk around alone, because like we said, no trade potential, not really much of an ability to gather info. Hopefully that's something they can solve in these coming rounds. Now, that was Kitchen. That was a site that definitely lends itself to that kind of play. Reading is a little bit more difficult to do that on, just because it's one less layer to peel away. And on Bar Cocktail, well, there's really no roam capability unless you're playing for a C4. So I guess Dallas Vendetta can kind of sit back and at least think to themselves, hey, we really dropped the ball in that one round, but we won't have to deal with that kind of roam play again for at least another 2. So that gives us time not only to, maybe get a couple points on the board, maybe go 1-for-1, but at least think about what we did in that round and try and fix it as well. They're not going to have to just go and jump right back.
Yeah, and you had your spiel about the Versity roster, and I obviously don't know much about Versity, but I can speak a little bit to Dallas Vendetta and their, recent performances. I know Bait, specifically because he is also a very well-known collegiate player. He is on, one of the top 3 collegiate teams, IGLing that team, and I believe IGLing Dallas Vendetta as well. So he's coming in with a lot of experience, of course, not like T2, T1 experience, but he's coming in with a lot of T3 scrim experience. He's played, Akron, the collegiate legends, quite a bit of times, and anyone would tell you that even being at the top of collegiate takes more than just a smile. So Bait does prove that he's got that information game to back this roster, and PK I know is a pretty big fragger, plays that flex support role. We saw him picking that 0, so I think those 2 players we're gonna have to really focus on going forward.
Yeah, it's, from what I saw, who was playing the Ash as well? Was that PK?
It might have been Fonde, I think.
Ah, crap. I just looked back at the VOD, or at the Twitch stream, and the delay just caught up to the end of the round, so I didn't actually get to see.
But the one thing we can do, Crow, in this break is we can take another look at our teams and actually, walk through other teams that we can expect to perform well. I know Disrupt Gaming women's team, they had, I believe, a pretty strong performance last qualifier. I think, obviously, there were some pretty big moments there. They had a good game against Luxury Esports that made it to the Twitterverse, and I believe Digital Dynasty, who's another name in the T3 community I recognize. They've actually, I believe, forfeited at least this first game and have been struggling in the last few weeks to kind of get their momentum going. Some changes in that roster, so somebody we're going to have to maybe see if they can get on the up and up, but they definitely have their work cut out for them here.
Yeah, another team that we have seen play was, I believe, Amarok Orange. They also seem to really struggle in the first qualifier. Aggro were doing pretty well for themselves. They actually were able to take down Wichita Wolves in one of the early matches, one of the top 10 qualified teams. Unfortunately, couldn't make it happen in the rest of their games. They're back to try again. I imagine Aggro will probably qualify. Looking at the second page, Kaioken is Braction's team. They were previously known as Team 99. You got Braction, Lethal, Riz, Riot. I don't remember their 5th, and I feel bad. I can't remember. Le Club were Hostile Actions. They previously competed inside of SCS. They were trying to re-qualify. Immense have been around for a little bit. They're the team with the infamous Random Civilian 5 Fuse main. Down Bad did pretty decently in the last qualifier too. I don't know if I can call who I think will be top 10 as confidently as I could in the first one. I think I got like 8 out of 10 right. in the first open qual.
Yeah.
This qual, I have like PDHM, Vale, maybe Versity, Aggro. Beyond that, I've really got no clue.
Well, there is some
Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, there is some big news for Team Burnt Turkey, we were calling them last time. That roster got picked up by Slaughterhouse, and now they are now known as Slaughterhouse Bravo. So that's pretty good for, you know, Team Burnt Turkey, or as they were calling themselves, your waifu's trash on stream. They will now be under the Slaughterhouse banner and have, you know, some good institutional backing going forward. I'm looking forward to see how they will perform here in Open Qualifier number 2. Given their honestly pretty strong performance in the first Open Qualifier, we saw them come out of the gate really strong. They were one of those actually undefeated teams, I believe, going into round number 7 on Friday, and then unfortunately had a bit of a rough go of it on Friday and were not able to qualify at the end of the day, but they'll be back here this qualifier, and they'll be looking to make their impact felt as well. I know Redux Rising, that's a new roster, correct?
That's a new Redux, yeah.
Okay,
a completely new one.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see how, you know, that new roster. I actually haven't seen them play at all, so I'm interested to see how that roster can fare here as well.
Yeah, I don't recognize any of the members of the new Redux. I don't think either. We already highlighted PDHM. StrikeX also competing in some other leagues have been doing fairly well for themselves. Again, Team Identity I think might be able to make top 10. Oh, T3 Savants, another good likely candidate for top 10. That is Impasta, GXD, Junior, all those guys. Impasta, who was in CL Quals with Fernie's Tacos. Junior, who was with Poached, who later became Wichita Oblivion, and GXD, who used to play with the core of D2E. So those guys have been around the block. Nomads, I know the players on Nomads as well. They've got, oh shoot, I was DMing Bix about it, and they look like a pretty decent team from the roster. I haven't actually seen them play. Oh, Bix, Rexalize, Driston, Brios. I don't know Brios. Brios is new, and Tater, who used to be on Versity, who then got picked up by Neo, and unfortunately dropped for it was funny. It was kind of like a minus laxing plus laxing moment. Tater came in to replace Rated, but didn't really do too well on Rated's roles because they were pretty different from what he played on Versity. So Neo re-picked up Rated. Also got the new Lycus Empire roster, whom I'm pretty close friends with. They've got like, oh shoot, they've got Serve. They've got Hourly, and I can't.
Is Crafty on that team?
Crafty? No, Crafty's on Pride.
Oh, right. I'm thinking of
Lycus Empire. All right, hold on.
Gooby, maybe. So it was somebody.
Yes. Yeah. It was the old USA Can't Hockey team. So Evil Clown, Peeps, Gooby, Hourly, and Sir. That's probably another good candidate for top 10.
I do wonder, I'm not sure how much you know about Indiana Syndicate. Are you familiar with that team? They like recently like popped up on the scene. I saw them in a couple of other quals, and they are kind of like a stack of like champ gunners who have been kind of just steamrolling people. I don't know. We didn't see them in the first open qualifier, so they're making their first their debut here on this one.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
I know some of the players. Like Roxo, Scarping, Awaken, PBQ. I recognize some of the guys.
Okay.
I never actually seen them play though. Let me take a look again.
Well, it's all of you wondering where we're getting with this rehost. We are nearly there. Custom lobby, nice little bug going on there. So we're almost back in this one and shouldn't have too much longer to wait. Just a heads up.
Who was it that? Was it the? Oh, I wanted to cast Yeet Squad versus T3 Savants. Yeet Squad has such characters as Magic Gnome and Dragon Daddy.uwu.
Oh, we just had a T3 Savants 7-0.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
I just saw that. I'm not gonna lie, didn't really expect much else from that matchup, because T3 Savants are a pretty insane team. So congrats for being the first actual victors. Meanwhile, we have had some forfeit wins. Divinity Blue got a bye. What the heck? Zaythoven? I guess that's like Beethoven, but with Zaythoven stands got a forfeit. Amarok White got a forfeit. That's Snake's team. That was the controversial roster there that was around for a while. Indiana Syndicate Fractured Memories, and Air Force Gaming also all got buys. So we finished effectively 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, effectively 7 games. So
yeah, I mean, of course, getting that buy
35.
is nice, but in round number 2, you are going to be immediately thrown into possibly a pool of the big boys that you are just not quite ready to maintain that. But we'll see how these teams fare going forward. Of course, it's just round 1, so 50% of these teams will emerge with some kind of victory. So it's not going to be the cream of the crop immediately in round number 2, but you'll slowly work your way there. I am wondering what other games we can expect to finish up pretty soon, given that this rehost is taking a while.
Please? Does it work? Fuck. 1 more minute. We got 1 minute until we can create a lobby again. God damn it. Oh, this is the 3rd lobby?
Oh, man.
Jeez, man. Ubisoft hates us today.
It'd be like that sometimes, though.
Are there any... What other notable teams are there? Crap. I'm running out of teams that I know.
Well, some
Not
teams
gonna
I'm
cap.
familiar with, but I don't know if I would call them notable, but I've definitely seen them play before. You've got Trust Only Your Squad, known as Toys. You've got Phantom Rose Gaming. You've got Revenge Nation, who are around. They're playing lulls in round number 1. I believe Revenge Nation had 2 teams in the first qual, and now they've just got the 1. The Academy team, I don't believe, is playing in this qualifier, but the main team will, so we'll see how they can fare. You've got Immense, who are around. I think you mentioned them already. A lot of these teams who are, you know, very familiar in the T3, T4 world will be looking to, you know, if not qualify, definitely make a statement and say to some of these bigger teams that they are around and here to stay for a while. Rats with Gats is another team. I believe we saw them in the qualifiers for AEL or somewhere. I think they actually did qualify in AEL, so they're making their presence felt, at least in some way. I'm not sure who else there is to mention.
Well, hopefully we'll get through, so we'll speak slower.
Well, Crow, I do have a question for you. Last time we were here on the desk together, you had a nice bowl of tortellini. Do you have that one this time?
I did. No, I had 4 hot dogs earlier, so I think I'll be good for a little bit. Yeah,
it's a lot of hot dogs.
It is. They call me the Glizzy Gobbler for more than one reason.
All right. Well, we don't have to talk about your hot dogs for much longer. We are going straight on in to round number 2 on Cafe with, you know, just to remind you, it has been quite a while. So if you forgot, it was a kitchen defensive win for Team Versity, with Dallas Vendetta unable to seemingly enter the building, getting cut down on a very disjointed push from that top-down clear. The information denial wombo combo, the mute, the Mozzie, and the vigil was too much for DV to handle, and now Team Versity will be going over to what we would generally consider the tertiary bomb site, Reading and Fireplace.
So I imagine they'll have a pretty similarly structured setup over in Cocktail, just with more in it. You see, they are bringing out the denial with the mute, although they do have more intel in the form of the pulse. Now, you know, so you remember last round was more about denial.
10 seconds left before insertion.
The only thing is
5 seconds to go.
getting upstairs. Sometimes we'll see smoke kind of hidden inside a freezer. No, okay, it looks like he's going to be down on site, because I was wondering, like, with this setup, you're going to have somebody with C4 upstairs rather than down on site playing with the pulse. I imagine it would be either the Malusi. Actually, no, it's not the Malusi. They're having mute play upstairs? That's interesting.
You add a shotgun into the mix and everything goes crazy, I guess. But you do mention the smoke. Oh, we're going to see True go for a run out, and he's going to miss his shots, or at least miss. Only one bullet is all that needs to graze PK to take him down. Now, good awareness there from PK to give DV the edge here early on in round number 2. But, you know, as you mentioned, the smoke play, this particular bomb site, it's one of those sites that the smoke, no team really has a firm idea of where they want to put that smoke, because, you know, in putting them in freezer, putting them down in laundry, it's so hard to find a good position for the smoke to hold. Apparently it's hard to hold mining as well, with Maniac getting cut down. Wi-Fi is going to find the grave as well.
So, Dallas Vendetta looking a lot more composed in this round. Versity maybe getting a little bit too ahead of themselves, playing a little bit aggro. Starting with that pulse jump out, they've been able to find trades. Well, to be precise, they found one trade, but haven't really been able to do much. Their mining player now dead. Their smoke also somehow dead. I'm not quite sure how Wi-Fi got caught, but he got caught. That was just Blonde and Hawks. Jaeger and Mute. You've got one of the best guns on the defense, along with a C4, so things aren't over just yet. PK also very lit up, but as they spot out Blonde downstairs, they can try and cut off this staircase, but of course, there's no one actually upstairs to cut him off. They're all over by 90. Bait will try and make the push in first. He'll fall to the Mute. Is there a refrag from PK? There is, despite the low HP. Fortunately, that small magazine of the SMG-11 was Hawks' undoing. He could not transfer onto the second target. Bait will likely be rezzed, as he is right now, by PK. Now we've got 2 players on the attack who are low HP, but it's a lot of work for Blonde to do, and as he goes over towards Laundry, he does not see Fonde in the rotate. Dallas Vendetta, much more convincing round number 2.
Well, it was all about those early picks, and rather than Dallas Vendetta feeding Versity some early kills, it was kind of Versity doing the exact opposite. Obviously, the run out from the Pulse was a tremendous waste of that whole operator, I suppose. You're not going to utilize that heartbeat sensor to help your vertical players know where the push is coming from, maybe get some C4s from below. That was never going to happen once the Pulse wasted his life on the run out. Same goes for Maniac, who was trying to hold that mining position also with a C4 in hand. That could have been pretty impactful had the top-down clear taken a bit longer to unfold, had Versity done a better job of withholding that push. But Maniac also caught out of position, a crossfire was delivered, and the Malusi was delivered to the grave. So a brilliant adaptation from Dallas Vendetta, realizing that they're going to deal with a good bit of aggression from Versity, and countering that aggression with some pretty good gun skill. And like you mentioned earlier, that trade from PK was huge, because, you know, at that moment with the Bait pushing into 90 with the diffuser in his hands, had there not been a trade there, you know, things, of course, were not going to get out of hand, but they could have gotten a bit more precarious for Dallas Vendetta than they would have liked, given the 4-2 man advantage. But now our focus, it'll be up towards this top floor.
And we have another update as well. Another match has finished, and you'll never take a wild guess as to who just won their match.
Oh, Dojo Academy's match? How did that one play out?
Yeah. Team Vale able to take a 7-1. So wait. Team Vale forfeited around at Dojo Academy, but T3 Savants didn't to Yeet Squad. So I guess Impasta is now confirmed better than Hypers.
All right.
See about that. Ancient Ones also 7-0ing Neve Esports. I don't know who either of those teams are, but there's another update. I don't know if it's Neve or Neve, because the V is also capitalized, but either way, it's weird. But we finally get to see the Zero do work. That's cool. So he's got a cam on red stairs. You know, normally we see an air jab there. Normally we'll see an air jab either protecting. So that's the one thing as well. You don't have an air jab. You have to dedicate more bodies to this East Repel. You see the Zofia is very wary of a possible run out by White. It's her job to try and cover the Ashes. The Ash will just go ahead and swing right in. And there's a player even dropping Skylight. Jaiko gets the first kill onto True. There's another one from PK. And that was quite the blitz from Dallas Vendetta. Another body falls. Maniac goes down. Wi-Fi very low HP, and there is absolutely nothing they can do to counter this plant. Bait will get it down pretty much for free. This is a textbook cocktail take, and it's just Hawks 1v5 post-plant as Dallas Vendetta just stormed into the site completely unabated.
Yeah, Bait just showing his massive brain there, making the call for the all-out bonanza rush. And of course, it wasn't just 5 players through the cigar door. That was a very coordinated execute rush, but an execute nonetheless. You had a player drop, skylight, the rappel in heaven, window, the white hall pressure as well, sandwiching on Cocktail, shutting down those defenders and making it seemingly impossible for any retake. We saw a couple of C4s go out from below, both of which were unsuccessful. Dallas Vendetta, a clean round. And wow, that is going to put Versity in a little bit of a back foot position right now. Definitely reeling from that one, but those are the kind of plays you cannot pull off twice. So Dallas Vendetta, they will take that win happily, but now they're going to likely have to move on to something more methodical and tame, let's say.
Yeah, that was definitely really well executed. You tell it sure as hell caught Versity off guard. I don't think Versity are gonna, like you said, let that happen again. Though they have made a small change. We've got Alibi.
Oh man.
So we'll see how much of a difference that makes. I mean, it is, if anything, an extra shield, which is always useful. So she's got a decent kit. Her ability itself, not great, not the most useful, but people bring her because she has a bailiff and because she has a shield. So she has that really good gadget. She can, as you see, put it over towards Pixel, which means Smoke can put his shield elsewhere, maybe inside of Cocktail by maybe like C2, or maybe even inside of Freezer, or covering White Stairs. You can see a lot of teams will put down a shield in Pixel and a shield in the White Hall by pallets to cover the Pixel player from the White Stairs rappel. So we'll see what Maniac can do with it. He'll lift off the Smoke, Wi-Fi will pick that up, and True will be put on the Smoke instead. And it looks like Dallas Vendetta, you know, like you said, they're not going to do that twice. They're going to go for a pretty standard take in a cigar.
The thing with the Alibi, and I think, you know, it's been a talking point around the community ever since, you know, Invitational was postponed. Everyone is bored out of their minds. It has been the week of tier lists on Twitter for the Siege community, and Alibi is one of those operators that finds herself at the middle to the very bottom of that tier list, just because there are so many better options generally when it comes to any of the roles you want that Alibi to be playing. Of course, the big benefit is that MX4 Storm, a very powerful weapon that some fraggers just like to wield. And if your fragger is comfortable and if your fragger can, well, frag out, I guess job well done. It doesn't really matter the operator. And of course, bringing that deployable shield, it always adds to the appeal of that operator, especially on this top floor bomb site when deployable shields are everything to this top floor hold, especially when you have to deal with quite a bit of window repels, that skylight action as well. So an interesting pick, and one that we have yet to see make much of an impact. But what we are seeing is Dallas Vendetta taking a abnormally long time to get any sort of piano pressure going. 1 minute and 15 seconds remain, and finally, you have players inside of piano going for this clear. Fonde, he's gonna see Wi-Fi playing below, but a couple of missed shots will not capitalize on the Mozzie's position. But the information is now there, but the Mozzie will neutralize that by rotating around. Crispy's gonna pick up Blonde and remove the 416 wielder, and that's gonna make this piano-sided take a lot easier to get done.
Yeah, Blonde going down really early with no refrag is not the start Versity wanted, especially because a lot of their presence is actually situated downstairs, not on the site itself. They're playing for those C4s from below. Wi-Fi's already used his, and it was unfortunately a swing and a miss, and Hawks will use his as well. Is it a pre-placed? Did he? I didn't hear it.
I just heard it miss.
I thought that was a breaching charge.
Oh man.
Well, either way, it's not going to actually hit anyone, and Base just getting the plant down seemingly for free. PK and Fonde pick up kills, and it's just True and Hawks. True on 1 HP, as yet again, Dallas Vendetta get the plant down. Crispy will finish off what little was left of True. And again, it's Hawks, 1v5, and it's a flawless round for Dallas Vendetta as the planter finishes him. Dallas Vendetta have been looking, after that first round, which looked like there was just all hope was lost, they have looked insurmountable in these past 3.
Well, regardless of whether that was a pre-play C4 or a missed C4, it was a wasted C4 nonetheless. A unfortunate turn of events there for Versity. They simply just collapsed one at a time. That was probably the most typical methodical attack that we've seen from Dallas Vendetta, and in typical fashion, they, took down and really dismantled that defense. Versity, who had been looking so strong, at least in round number 1, have been kind of lost since the rehost and have been unable to find defensive success on a map that tends to work its way towards defensive sided. Of course, Cafe is one of those maps that, similar to Oregon, that it really just goes with the flow of the teams and the evening, and it is not that shocking to see it go attacker sided one night or another. But to see Dallas Vendetta out to a 2-round lead right now is, well, concerning for the point of Versity, or if you're a fan of Versity. Thankfully, of course, for Team Banana, they've got this basement bomb site, or the first floor bomb site of Kitchen, to work with. The only bomb site where they found success the first time around. And, well, the success they found here was tremendous. They completely shut down Dallas Vendetta on their top-down clear. And once again, you do have the triple wombo combo that is information denial, Maniac, Hawks, and Blonde, the Mozzie, the Mute, and the Vigil, respectively.
It'd be cool if they went for just a bakery push and completely circumvented this roam, but no, it looks like they are going to go for this top-down again. Now, they are going to be ready for all the drone denial. They now know how Versity like to play this, and it's seemingly pretty similar to how they did last time. Blonde upstairs, Hawks and Maniac in the middle, and True and Wi-Fi holding down on the site. There is tons of C4 potential on this roam as well. Now, they didn't necessarily need it last time, but it's still good to have nonetheless as the attackers start to take into things like piano and in the long bar. You still got to be worried about what's under their feet. Now, the drone will start to come in. Hopefully, Fonde is a little bit more wary about crossing this cocktail door. And as the C4 goes up from Maniac, it's not only shot in midair, but his head is taken off by PK, holding the flank downstairs as well. That is the same position that Maniac had initially gotten the kill onto PK as well. Fonde over by Pixel, challenging down Whitehall will eat some damage, but so far, Dallas Vendetta have looked, I mean, they have a kill on the roam. That is pretty fantastic compared to how round 1 went.
Yeah, and Blonde, he is really tempting fate here, challenging again on this White Stairs push. Fonde, he's nervous about it, but he shouldn't be for too much longer, as Blonde and Hawks have both rotated downstairs and are now taking up a position in VIP and Whiskey Bar. You've got True and Wi-Fi on the site, or near the site itself, and with the vertical pressure finally beginning on this top floor, albeit, it will finally be our first chance to see how Dallas Vendetta approaches this kitchen bomb site with their full manpower. Crispy, they're still working on clearing out reading room, and they're taking quite a bit of time to do so, something that's definitely going to feed into the success of Versity going forward. But finally, the vertical pressure will actually mount on the kitchen site itself. Of course, you've got those breaching charges and that breaching hammer that Jaiko is wielding, and that's going to force True to be scrambling around inside Prep and Big Bakery, and without any pressure actually from the bakery side, or now finally finding itself mounting from the bakery side. True will be forced to back on off, but Dallas Vendetta, the time is dwindling, and with only 30 seconds left, an execute needs to get going right now.
And there's still an Electro Claw on the Big Bakery wall as well. Bait's not going to be able to get that off, and Jaiko, I don't know if he actually has the time to clear that, because the Ace charges also have a pretty long detonation time. But as I say that, there goes the Electro Claw. Here come the Ace charges, and there's only 10 seconds left as the breach finally goes down. Now, Bait is just going to try and make a stake into Prep as Hawks finds PK. Vonde with one, Wi-Fi with a trade. It's down to a 3v3. True holding up into the site. He'll fell Crispy, and here's the flank from Jaiko, though. And he gets all three. What?
What? What?
I saw Jaiko and I thought it was Hawks, but it was an attacker.
Okay. Well, Dallas Vendetta takes those. They take those.
What?
Fonde with the clip it. I think Crow, you'd like to see that one again. It seems. But another round that somehow finds its way in the hands of Dallas Vendetta, and that is the only site that Team Versity have been successful on, at least so far.
I thought that was Hawks. And then I looked at the kill feed and I was like, what?
Yeah, but, with that, this is looking bad for Team Versity. They have since their first round win on Kitchen and coming back from the Rios, they have found nothing in terms of defensive success at the end of the day, and they're hoping to turn it around on Reading and Fireplace now.
I was so distracted by the fact that the attackers decided they were going to open the bakery wall with Ace with 15 seconds left.
Understand.
Jaiko just walked down red. And he
10 seconds remaining.
killed everyone, I guess. That was,
5 seconds to insertion.
he just put the team on his freaking back there. He has 0 deaths after the rehost. PK matching him for kills. They both have 6. Meanwhile, on Versity, you've got a total of 3 kills.
Ooh,
In
my.
4 rounds.
I've just noticed that.
Yeah, that might have something to do with why they've lost 4 rounds in a row now. Dallas Vendetta are just kind of putting them in the palm of their hand and squeezing. And there's just nothing Versity can do to break out. They'll go on to Reading now. They've got a very similar setup. A guy in Pixel, C4 presence below inside of Mining, the Pulse and the Mute teaming together. The only difference is I think instead of they have a Malusi. Or no, they had a Malusi last time instead of a Mozzie?
Yeah,
I think
that's
it was.
right.
Was that it?
I'm pretty sure you had Maniac. Maniac was the Malusi player who was playing in Reading Room. Last time True was downstairs in Wedding and he jumped out a window and killed himself. So that is not the way round 6 has at least played out so far. It appears that Team Versity are playing this a bit more restrained, which I've got to say I do support wholeheartedly. All they need to do really is play out the clock, something that Dallas Vendetta couldn't handle in round number 1 and nearly just 1 round ago. And honestly, so far, things are looking pretty solid. You've got 2 players devoting time and utility to that bottom floor clear. That is both Crispy and Fonde. In the meantime, you've got Jaiko. He's pressuring onto that ticket window, looking to force out that Pixel player, which in this case is Blonde. Of course, we can see here that the only player on this bottom floor extension to deal with, that's going to be True, the Pulse, who will remove at least that drone from play and will soon identify exactly where Crispy is pushing from. Of course, if your camera is up when the Ash is swinging, you're not going to win that gunfight, but True, he's not going to have to worry about that just yet. But Dallas Vendetta are kind of neglecting top floor control right now. It seems that they may be itching to go for something of a Fireplace execute.
What?
Oh my
What?
goodness! Jaiko? We didn't see him on our side of the screen. Somehow he's able to line up the headshot. Crispy follows that one up onto True. It's now a 3v5, Versity on the back foot again.
And though they don't have this top 4 presence, they do have the pinch. They have a man on white as they all push from the Mining side. Maniac will get the C4 kill, but here's that White Stairs presence. Crispy goes huge. 3 kills. It's just Hawks again. How many times have we said Hawks in a 1vx? C4 goes out. Now goes the Planter, a great flank as he fells PK as well. Jaiko and Crispy have 6 seconds to either kill this man or start putting that diffuser, and Crispy has it. Jaiko, it'll be his task to cover. He's deathless. Will he be able to get it? No! Jaiko goes down in the Ash! He lifts off!
My.
Hawks didn't see him. He stepped back to reload. I don't know how far the Ash was going down, but if he had just stuck it, it would have been a chance. But he lifts off as soon as his cover dies. Hawks goes absolutely huge. A 1v4, if I'm not mistaken, and Versity are able to somehow steal away that round.
Well, the complete opposite of round number 5. Holy moly, Hawks. An incredible clutch. I cannot believe Dallas Vendetta let that happen, first of all, but of course you do have to give props to the Mute who just, well, let that SMG-11 sing and cut down, well, 3, but nearly the 4th of those remaining Dallas Vendetta players. A clean retake of that site. Dallas Vendetta, they did not have the comms, I guess. There was nobody, paying attention to that Mining side. It was looking so dangerous once the Mute had killed two players and the diffuser was dropped, but, you know, Crispy was there, quickly recovered the diffuser. It just did not seem to matter. Jaiko could not get the coverage, and it was all over at that point. So a 4-2 attacker-sided Cafe is what we're seeing right now, but we're also going to have to see how Versity can continue the comeback, not only within a round, but now within this entire map. Of course, these are all just best of ones. They only have one chance to make their, you know, statement that they are the better team here. And in a best of one, things can change so quickly. They can be so momentum focused, and that's why the best of one mentality and a best of three mentality are so different, because you approach a best of one mentality with, it's good to bring out the crazy plays. Just getting the momentum on your side can be overwhelming, and sometimes even the better team may end up losing a best of one if the other team can just come out with the right style of play and the right aggression, and there's simply not enough time in a best of one for some teams to come up with counters for their opponent's play style.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of best of one, I think, revolves a lot more around the mental game, just because there's a lot of T3 teams that if you can tilt them, then they're done for. They might be the better team, but if you can piss them off, then they start to trip over themselves. We've got another couple updates as well. Team Identity winning 7-0 over the St. Louis Leviathans. Jimmy and the boys 7-1ing Zelos. And Team Sinister being 1-7 by Toys. So, kind of what we've expected so far. Maybe a little bit higher of a margin, but so far I think the teams coming out on top have made sense. Now, of course, I expected Versity to win this, but so far Dallas Vendetta are certainly trying to shut my mouth, but Blonde will get the first kill. Down goes Jaiko, the big player from the first half. Fonde is quick with a refrag. Wi-Fi dead. That is Sledge now gone, but Blonde with a second. Down goes Crispy, and just like that, your top floor presence is now almost completely, actually it is completely flushed away, and Versity have plenty of time to do their soft destruction. Now, of course, they don't have a Sledge, so maybe it's not as efficient as they would like, but they still got more than enough time to do so with the less efficient options.
Yeah, now, you know, Dallas Vendetta, they're forced to recoil a bit and fall back onto the bomb site. We're going to see PK, he's done that. He's going to be playing downstairs over on that reading room side of things, looking to hold off what's next of this vertical pressure. But the fact that we're seeing Mining and Fireplace come out here is super interesting to see. It's not very often you get to see this bomb site in play. I believe teams in Challenger League, Ape is one of those teams who really like to bring out this bomb site instead of going to that top floor, and it appears that Dallas Vendetta are learning a little bit from them as well. Blonde, he's gotten into a skirmish here with PK, who's now losing out to this very powerful crossfire that's been established and completely trapped in reading room. The coordination there from Versity was too much for at least PK to handle. So now Fonde and Bait are all that remains to hold off this push, and Fonde is, it would be my guess that he's not much longer for this world. He's got a soft wall right next to him. He's going to get sprayed on through that. The C4 could be his saving grace here. He'll take down True. That's going to be a double kill for the Malusi here. But with 10 seconds now, all that remains, with Maniac getting the diffuser down, and a rotate and a retake now needed from Fonde and Bait. Things aren't looking too good for Dallas Vendetta here. Both these players on low HP. Ooh, Blonde is going to line up a triple and a 4K there. Okay, Blonde. He's going to make that one happen in Team Versity round number 7.
That was an easy lineup on those last two players, as they were both just 1 HP. Versity with a pretty damn good top floor attempt after getting that first pick. Sure, the Malusi was able to refrag, but she was quickly felled as well. They had all the time in the world to open up above train, force all those anchors back towards reading, and just slowly collapse on them. I thought it was going to be a mining push. I'm not gonna lie. I really thought they were going to be going for mining, but they slowly worked their way over towards reading instead, took out the frost, and the Mute and the Malusi had no choice but to fall back downstairs as they were just slowly getting boxed in. The Mute first and the Malusi stuck inside of dining. Trying to anchor inside of dining is not fun at all. It's pretty damn difficult. Now, she had the hatch open. Great C4 kill, but she and the Mute decided that they were going to come from the same direction and try and play for a refrag, but that doesn't go too well when you're both just 1 HP, staring down the barrel of a Zofia, who's halfway across the map. So, Versity. Much better last 2 rounds. Well, I say much better last 2 rounds, but the round before was a clutch from Hawks. So, much better round from Hawks, and then a much better round as a whole from Versity. I think that this is probably... We've kind of, like, reached equilibrium. This is kind of like what the score should have been if the rounds actually went the way that they looked like they were going to. But Dallas Vendetta are going to bring out the Mute Mozzie Vigil for Kitchen. Very similar to how Versity did it, and I wonder if they're going for another, 1-2-2 split.
Yeah, the difference is, though, at least on the attacking side, what we just saw from the roam clear from Versity, I think, just in the overall way it took place and the speed in which it took place, really felt a little bit above what Dallas Vendetta were bringing on their attacking half. Of course, the results can speak for themselves, and Dallas Vendetta did emerge from their attacking half victorious, but you have to look at going forward if Dallas Vendetta can really hold off this sort of aggressive and efficient clear from Versity, especially now that they are committing a lot of utility and time to this very roam. You've got Fonde playing upstairs. You've got Jaiko as well. This time, he's going to get the first kill rather than being fragged early on. He's going to get a kill on to that window repel player, but Maniac, he's going to answer that swiftly back, cutting down Crispy.
Well, the Vigil has effectively wasted a minute, and you've also lost your ace. That's not great for your attack so far. Although at least your saving grace is that you keep step with the man count. Maniac has taken a fair bit of damage, though, so Dallas Vendetta is still kind of in the advantage. Now, there's a minute and a half for Versity to play with, and they do have the top 2 floors to themselves. So they do have plenty of time to go ahead. They have their sledge still left up alive this time, so they're able to get that vertical destruction down a lot more efficiently. They do have breaching charges from Blonde as well, just as supplemental soft breach, but Dallas Vendetta are more than happy just to wait and sit on the site. They do still have a C4 at their disposal. Jaiko's already used his, wasn't able to find a kill, but he was able to get that entry frag on the True. And I mean, no matter how much soft breach you're able to do as Dallas Vendetta, unless you're able to get enough kills through the vertical, not having that hard breacher left is going to really hurt by the time it comes to the exit.
Yeah, thankfully for them, the freezer hatch is already opened up. That's going to be part of... Well, I don't know if it was part of the roam strategy or if that was opened up on the side once. No, that would have been impossible because True, I don't think he was the one who got that hatch open. Either way, it's going to be an execute that has to happen next. We're going to see Wi-Fi. He's tossing some frag grenades in there, but Jaiko's not going to get caught out by that one. And again, it's going to likely shape up to be a full send in freezer. Here comes Maniac. Jaiko, he wasn't looking the right way, but now he knows of the Jackal's pressure. He's turned the wrong way, though. What is he doing? Jaiko's going to get cut down by just his sheer, I don't know, inability to turn around, and Hawks is now fully in sight on the half wall. He's going to line up Fonde, and Dallas Vendetta, the defense is crumbling. It's now a post plant. PK was not able to deny it with the Evil Eye bait, and PK now have to go for the retake. There's one player close in Java. Bait knows it. He'll spray on through connected. PK lines one up as well. He'll line up a double.
Oh, PK!
A triple with the Alta, PK. You madman. I won't be surprised if we see a clip it in chat here in a moment. But DV, pull it out in another incredible turnaround way.
I really thought Dallas Vendetta were about to just throw that round away. Maniac's initial drop.
There's the clip it.
Yeah, there's the clip. Maniac's initial drop, being able to kill Jaiko like that, that was, that was confusing. And then
shot
Hawks,
at. How did he not know?
Yeah, I have no, maybe he thought it was coming from above. I don't know. Either way, that was a little bit curious. And Hawks covering from the window was able to kill the Mozzie coming back in as well. However, while the plant was going down, the Maestro was happily zapping away. At that point, you had 2 members of Versity, I believe, still on low HP. Coming in for the retake, nobody from the attack was actually still covering the bakery double door.
Attackers need to locate and
Curiously enough, you had a guy in bunker who could have held the cross. The only reason why I could think of that they wouldn't be covering the double door is because they know the Maestro is over by prep window, and he doesn't want to keep peeking kitchen window in case the Maestro swings. But you have a guy in bunker where the plant was down to cover the cross. I mean, but the guy bunker was 1 HP. There was a lot of variables there from Versity that I think just led to them playing a lot more timid than they should have,
10 seconds
and
left.
thus not covering enough angles. PK was able to pretty much walk in after the Jaeger got that initial pick into bunker. PK just walked in. He let the Aldous sink, and he found 3 kills for it. So, huge step-up play from him. So far, at least like 3 or 4 of these rounds in this match, out of the 8, half of them have just been from one player in the game, stepping up immensely. And that was Vendetta at least able to keep their 2-round lead and not let it slip all too much. Because, I mean, let's be honest, that probably should have been a Versity round.
That was a crucial moment for Dallas Vendetta. Of course, you allow Versity on a map that, you know, like you mentioned, Crow, is very much, at least used to be home territory for them. You don't want to allow Versity to get the confidence and the momentum back, especially on their attacking half when they've looked pretty clean on it so far. Of course, it's round number 9, and Versity still have a chance to get some attacking performance going here, but just one more round, if it were to slip away, that would put Dallas Vendetta on match point in a dangerous position for Versity to be in, to say the least. Of course, we're now on Reading and Fireplace. We're seeing this bomb site for the first time, and we're going to have to see how Versity elect to go about this top-down clear. That's going to be Jaiko's C4, done and dusted, and will no longer be a factor in this round, doing no damage except for a little bit onto Wi-Fi there. Of course, Hox, he's on the Nomad. We're not seeing a 0 or anything crazy come out from Versity like we saw from Dallas Vendetta. But one other problem to talk about here is this clear. It is taking a while for them to get this pressure going, and as a result, Bait is going to capitalize on that. A perfect C4 toss out towards the window rappel, and I believe he's going to cut down 1 because of it.
Yeah, Blonde being taken out is pretty big. He got that 4K that was pretty influential in Versity winning, I believe it was their 3rd round. And I mean, I was gonna to mention, after Jaiko threw up his C4, you've still got 3 more on the defense, but as Bait finds 1 kill and Fonde is now off the board, it's just 1 left in the pocket of PK. So, Versity able to keep step, still a 4 versus 4, even man count, and Wi-Fi is alive. So the Sledge can do his thing up above Reading, try and flush out these defenders. It's Bait and PK inside, so Sledge will have to be careful of that C4 from the mute. As I say that, it's actually been thrown up. I don't believe it's been detonated. I think I just heard the beep, and I haven't heard an explosion. True has now dropped into Pillar to set up for this execute. Mira is, I believe, hugging the corner right by the doorway, so if he tries to make his way in, he'll likely be cut down. There's only 20 seconds left. Versity haven't really done much with this vertical, but as I say that, down goes PK to Hox. No more C4. Wi-Fi with another one onto Crispy, and True getting the plant down seemingly for free. Bait comes in, and it isn't able to land the kill. True wins that against the odds, and Maniac, despite the low HP, finishes Jaiko. It's been a little bit more back and forth on this attack, but Versity will not let DV run away with the lead.
Yeah, no more miracle comeback or miracle retake once the bomb was down. That time, Versity with the overwhelming manpower, site control, map control, they simply shut it down at every turn. So a brilliant change there from Versity, not allowing themselves to be stomped on by an Alda or anything of that sort. And that was probably a critical round for Versity to take. Like I said, if you allow DV to get on match point, that is a precarious position for Versity to be placed in. But now, only 1 round away from completely neutralizing the scoreline and having found 2 rounds on attack already. DV only finding 1 defensive round. Things are indeed looking up for Versity. Of course, we are actually going to be seeing the same bomb site again. We're not going to be pulling out mining or anything crazy, and Dallas Vendetta are hoping to correct the mistakes that they just made, but the mistakes seemed like they were aplenty, or at the very least, Versity seemed like they had that clear pretty down pat. Going back here twice in a row could be quite dangerous. We're not seeing any change in terms of the operator lineup. I suppose DV feel like they could have played it better, maybe? I'm not sure, Crow.
I don't really think with 4 C4s, having more than just 1 kill would have probably benefited them and helped them swing that round in their favor, because the time was really low. It just so happened that the people who were left up didn't have the C4 to counter the plant. True got it for free, and because there was just so many bodies still left up from Versity, they were able to cover all their angles. We also have a couple more bracket updates. Down Bad taking down 4M1W 7-1. Nomads losing their first game to the Gatekeepers themselves. PDHM being victorious over Disrupt Gaming. Kaioken winning their game. Slaughterhouse Bravo winning over Floppa. And Le Club, previously known as Hostile Axes, Actions winning over Sleeping Giant. So again, a lot of these games kind of going how we expected them to. It looks like Versity are going to be going for a pretty similar clear, only they have a little bit more presence upstairs, and they will not fall victim to that C4 twice in a row, but in doing so, also let Crispy escape Cocktail. Now, he is kind of stuck by white stairs. There's a player on his white rappel and the player on his Cocktail rappel, I believe. The rest of the attack will start to kind of go over towards the cigar direction and start their standard clear.
Well, Crispy actually does have a free rotate away. Nobody on the white stairs rappel. I'm not sure if he knows it, though. So now he's going to be probably forced to take some gunfights that he is uncomfortable, given that the information isn't quite there. Of course, he's got support over from C1. You've got one player tucked in Cocktail still that I think Versity have yet to identify. That is Fonde, who is there on the support. Bait applying pressure from below will definitely hold off this Cocktail push, but Fonde, he's forced to get aggressive. He gets cut down. Crispy, he's got the retaliating blow, but Maniacs is there with an answer, cutting down PK as well. It's going to be a 3v4 now, with Dallas Vendetta forcing themselves to back off a little bit, having used their C4s, having, well, now taken down True as well. Things are going to get a bit more achievable for this defense, but as the vertical play is now coming out huge for Versity, Dallas Vendetta need to be very careful with their micro positioning. Of course, Jaiko, he's rotated around towards this pillar side. Bait also, he's rotated over by that laundry door. So it's going to be all about this push from Versity, and if they can spot out Versity, no, Jaiko, he's going to get it, cutting down Wi-Fi, but he's not going to be gunned up. Instead, Shift running away into, well, the open arms of Maniac.
All right, Maniac is now in the site as well after getting that kill, and it's going to be left up to Hawks to try and cover, but unfortunately, again, the remaining defenders don't have the C4. Maniac coming off the plant, he gets a kill, but he's down and finished off by Crispy. Hawks is still above, though. He still has these holes on the diffuser. He can adequately cover, but he is low on HP. One or two bullets from the 416 will put him down. He starts to sprint over by C3, and that's going to give the sound cue to Crispy to lift off. He's playing this very timidly. He's going to try and go for it again. More sprinting from the Nomad. These sound cues are just really freaking Crispy out. Here's the peak. He's going to start shooting, but Crispy isn't lifting off. 2 seconds left, but a very easy kill for Hawks, playing that very well. Crispy just a little bit too jittery as he kept hearing the Nomad sprint above him, and Versity lock out another round and equalize our scoreline.
That is exactly how you play the post plan in a 1v1. Hawks just put on a clinic for us there. He knew exactly what he had to do. Never peek the angle, simply just run around, listen for the diffuse sound cues as well, listen for, 3 of those tick sound, those scans, so you know when you have to swing on it. But just by running around in Cocktail, Crispy was terrified of holding down that diffuse, and there was simply no way for the Jaeger to win. Either he had to get crazy aggressive on the angle, which he tried to do, but Hawks just wasn't giving him the opportunity, and honestly, perfectly played in that post plant. Versity taking the round, and that equalizes us finally at this 5-5 scoreline, with Cafe looking now very attacker-sided, with Versity already taking 3 rounds in this half as well. If this honestly is playing out very similar to the way it played out in the first half, in which case this would end up tied up and end up in overtime, which I know, Crow, we would love to see, but we're going to have to see some changes for Dallas Vendetta. It definitely, at least in the overall macro strategy, going to the same bomb site twice definitely didn't work. So in terms of those pretty impactful decisions in the way the round is going to play out as well, we're going to have to see DV clean it up just a little bit here.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
I do like, too, I want to point out that Hawks not only played that well, but he also played it smart, knowing that he was like pretty much 1 HP, and he couldn't take the gunfight. I guarantee if he had more, he would have played that a little bit more aggressively and probably just gone gone for the fight. But definitely played it as passively as he probably should have. It really freaked Crispy out. So we're back to even. Well, it was once a stark advantage for Dallas Vendetta. They were up at one point 4-1, then 5-3. It's now 5-5. Versity seem to have woken up and are playing a lot better than they were earlier, with the exception of round 1, which they played extremely well, and then for some reason had a significant dip in performance. But it's Kitchen again. Very similar strategy for Dallas Vendetta. You've got 2 upstairs, 1 in the middle, and 2 down below. Last time we saw Versity clear this out, it was pretty efficient. They were able to get the plant down, but because they all dropped Freezer and didn't properly cover their angles, they all fell to the maestro of PK. He got a massive clutch in that round. So Dallas Vendetta already have been shoved off of the top floor. You can see Crispy and Fonde now joining Jaiko in the middle, and they've only sacrificed a minute 15. Maniac as well has gone down to join them, positioning himself inside a pillar, and the first kill will be found by the attack. Blonde takes out Jaiko. That's a C4 off the board, but unfortunately, no, I thought the player by 90 was going to come to the mining player's aid, but Crispy goes down for free. Bait does get a refrag. Down goes Hawks, but it's Nomad. You've lost 2 bodies, a C4, and you've only wasted a minute and a half and only claimed 1 kill on the attack. Versity have more than enough time to try and set up for their execute.
Well, especially on the Nomad as well. Had you cut down True Wi-Fi or Blonde, you could argue things are not too bad for Dallas Vendetta here, but you're only losing the air jabs, most of which have already been placed down. We can see one there on the red stairs that Wi-Fi just indicated to us. It seems that it's going to have to be somewhat of a retake here. Fonde is going to be walking straight up into the crosshair of True. Bait is there for the refrag, but then overly peaks the angle, and Blonde will efficiently punish Bait for that mistake. It's going to be up to PK. He's going to have to work his Alda magic again, and Maniac will make sure that he can't do it. And Versity, another round, taking round number 11, now actually the first team to have their eyes on match point.
I remember last time PK just kind of swung 3 people and killed them all, and this time Maniac said, nope, not if I swing him first. Just drops the hatch and takes the fight. That was definitely one of those plays that was like, it worked, but if it didn't work, we would have definitely been questioning it. So Versity, though, nonetheless, really good top-down clear, as they did on the previous Kitchen defense. Much better adjustment onto their site execute, as they didn't, I mean, this time they didn't really have to. By the time it was a 4 versus 3, Mozzie and Jaeger just kind of came to them. So DV maybe getting a little bit antsy and trying to retake that top floor instead of huddling up. Either way, like you said, Versity are now the first team to be able to touch match point. And DV are going to go Kitchen again. And it looks like they're playing the exact same strategy with the exact same operators. Listen, DV. The first time, it was your roam game that fell flat. Then you forfeited the plant. The only reason you won that Kitchen defense is because of PK. Now, in the previous round, your roam game, again, fell flat. And this time, Versity, instead of getting ahead of themselves, played a hell of a lot slower. And they were able to because you guys pushed them. Now, I guess if Versity has a very similar clear, even if they go 2 for 1, you know, if DV doesn't push back up those staircases into their waiting arms, it could be a round for them and we could see OT, but otherwise this Kitchen site just has not looked all that strong for DV.
Yeah, I think a perfect point, and something that they need to address, and they need to do it right now, because this is, you know, obviously it is map point, and because it's a best of 1, it is series point. And oh my word, Fonde, he is going to jump out of a window and hope to answer that back. But Jaiko, okay, the long-range shotgun is finally there to answer it back. The antics are aplenty here on match point. But now, Dallas Vendetta, things are looking up with both Wi-Fi and Blonde off the board. The key to the vertical play on the Kitchen has now been completely eliminated. So it is now going to have to be quite A tough job for Versity to make this one happen, and Dallas Vendetta need to desperately not make the critical error of overstaying their welcome on this second floor, something that it seems that Jaiko and Crispy are really eager to do. They want to give Versity the man advantage straight back. They're going to put 2 players overextended, out of position, and, well, quite isolated here in Reading Room. Maniac's going to go on the initial swing. He's going to net the kill onto Crispy, looks around for the other. He's going to get it anyway. Jaiko, what are you doing?
Holy.
Maniac getting 2 kills. Dallas Vendetta throwing away their man advantage. That did not need to happen. They could have simply rotated back to the bomb site. There was no vertical potential. They could sit there and wait.
John, are you from Delphi? Because you might be an Oracle. You just called that perfectly.
Yeah.
Jaiko and Fonde trying to play for a crossfire, but Maniac saying no. Now, we have a very similar situation to the round that Versity actually lost. All 3 of their players are inside of Freezer, and True's getting the bomb down, but there's the big kicker. Maniac with his 3rd kill. Down goes PK, the savior of that initial kitchen defense, and it's bait. 1v3, post-plant, to try and save the map and push us for OT. They know he was over by Whiskey Door, so he'll wrap around. Now inside a bakery, pushing into prep. He catches Hawks off guard. That's a good pick. 1 versus 2, not unwinnable. He's got almost hard info, but he sees the fire from the window and then looks away, giving Maniac another kill. A 4K for Maniac, the really big difference maker in that map, and Versity take the map 7-5. They were down 4-1 and only lost 1 round in the subsequent 6. What a comeback.
What a comeback is right. And, you know, Crow, I'm sure you heard my frustration in that last one, but Dallas Vendetta, I mean, come on. That was atrocious, the way they played that last round. I mean, they played it so well initially. The aggression was there, sure. The weird plays were going out. But at that point, you have taken down the only source of the vertical play onto Kitchen. You have a free rotation back to site down White Stairs. Nobody was playing it, and they knew it. Yet, they decided to hole up in Reading Room, a place that is the easiest on the entire map to establish a free crossfire, a couple of wall bangs, a couple of swings, and Maniac just did all the work on the clear because Dallas Vendetta was asleep at the wheel. Yep. Inexcusable. That is why Versity took the round, and I gotta say, they deserved it. If Dallas Vendetta are gonna bring that out, Team Banana is going to take that from you every single time. Versity is good enough to capitalize on those opportunities. Of course, they played it so well. It was looking so competitive, but in those last few rounds, Dallas Vendetta just was not clicking.
Yeah, and especially Maniac. Shout out to the big man himself getting a 4K in that last round to just completely destroy every single roamer on the board, as well as shut down the 2 anchors. And I mean, right after the rehost, he wasn't doing too hot. He was one of the players with 0 kills and then ended 14-7. 2.0 KD. Massive stuff from him. And like you said, Versity able to win that match. So unfortunately, I believe our first round is not yet completed. Phantom Rose able to take a win over Wooback. Something to Prove able to take 8-7 over Imperium. Kevin winning their game against the new Lycus Empire. Aggro beating out Immense. So yeah, again, a lot of expected results. And I'm gonna be honest, it was definitely a lot closer than I thought. I think Dallas Vendetta put up a much better fight than I expected them to, but I kind of expected Versity to come out with the win, just because they've been playing, those players have been playing at a I think slightly higher competition for longer, whereas Dallas Vendetta, you know, they were kind of, what were they? They were a Rival 7 before? Or no, what were they?
I'm not entirely sure.
First attempt, was it? I don't remember.
No,
I just remember they were kind of like mid.
Dallas Vendetta was first attempt.
That's
then
what
they kind of combined a couple of rosters, added a few players. But yeah, you're right.
Because they were like kind of like mid SCS. Meanwhile, Versity were in EPS Season 5 #1 in the regular season, and those guys, and even Wi-Fi came from, I think, the #4 team, the old now 2 iterations ago, Lycus Empire. So Versity have a lot of experience behind them. I definitely have to say, I think they still got some work to do. which I'm sure they're aware of themselves. But hey, at the end of the day, it's the dub that matters. So congrats, Versity.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas Vendetta, they were looking good, and Versity were definitely on the back foot initially, and but at the end of the day, you know, we expected them to come out on top. They did put up a performance that did look like a 19th place team, though, in the open qualifier, rather than a 9th place team that they're looking to get at least now, if not, you know, higher. Of course, they'll be looking to do so going forward, and we are going to be taking a quick break, though, and we'll be able to see these teams going forward and see maybe we'll be able to catch Versity in one of our later days of the qualifiers. But we're going to take a quick break while we finish up these last few matches. We will get back to you all, and you'll see quickly on the bottom of your screen, you know, which match we will be casting next. In the meantime, of course, check out our partner broadcasts. Make sure to tune into those as well. But until then, we'll be right back.